Is there a particular player that you'd be a little more intrigued by?
It's Amawari. He's been my favorite. He's been my favorite. I've said it plenty of times. He's a safety. He roams around. He attacks the football. He will hit you. He takes great angles when the football's in his hand. He is trying to score. I love it. And even though you got Jay Love, you have Kobe Bryant as well. I believe Jenkins is with another team now. So you could use some depth at that position. And the way that they use their safety, there's a lot of 3 safety type of deals. And he could be that 3rd safety in the box. He's that good. And so can Kobe Bryant. So I could see that trio making some noise back there.
It's not who I chose, but I thought about it. And I'll tell you why I like your pick. Because I want this team, as you do so badly, to have an identity. And it feels like they're so much closer to getting that on defense. You know what I mean? Like if you were to bring in a guy where you thought, this could be a top-end physical threat for us. This is bringing a little bit of boom back, bringing an edge back, and we want that defense. That feels more immediately helpful than getting a running back who's going to get a few carries.
Yeah.
You know? And I know, like, they want to run the ball. That is part of the identity. But you're so much closer to being a top-5 defense than you are an offense.
You're enhancing the strongest part of your team.
Yeah.
And last year it was different, right? Last year we saw wideouts, offensive linemen, quarterbacks go. And you're a product of what's available, right? That was the talent that's available. And then, ironically, there were teams who needed quarterbacks. So we saw almost all of these quarterbacks play except for what J.J. McCarthy, these first-round quarterbacks. Like we saw all these guys. And now this year is a bit different. You don't have a lot of talent at the quarterback spot, at least not a lot of first-round grades. And it's mixed up a bit. I think we're going to see a couple wide receivers go in the first round. We're going to see a couple tackles go in the first round. We're going to see a edge rusher, a linebacker, tight end. So it's just, this one is a bit more fun because it's a bit more mixed up when it comes to the talent pool. Yeah. It's not as deep or as talented as last year's, but there's more variety in this one.
What this Seahawks should do and what you want them to do. And for the want them to do, I want you to think of it like a guilty pleasure choice. Something you know they maybe even shouldn't, or you know that they might be criticized for, but part of you is really curious and wants to see it. So here's my answer. I think what they should do is address the offensive line first and get someone like Ray Zabel. It answers a lot of questions. It gives you a lot of versatility. It's a little higher than you typically draft an interior lineman, but guess what? The Seahawks haven't done that, so that's one potential solution to a decade-long problem. What I want them to do is draft a pass catcher, in particular, Colston Loveland. His numbers are not like eye-popping, right? Like he's got 582 yards last year for Michigan, 649 the year prior for a 2023 national championship team that we don't have to talk about. We don't have to revisit that game. But I do think for a couple reasons I'm really intrigued by this. Number one, a tight end is typically not going to be a first-round pick, but you've got 2 that everyone's talking about and everyone's really high on. And I saw Matt Miller say that he thinks that Loveland could be even better, maybe the first tight end off the board. And I just think, secondly, you've underutilized and not gotten the most out of this position despite valuing it. Like, you've paid Noah Fant and acquired him via that trade.
Yep.
You've paid Will Dissly. You traded for Jimmy Graham, but Jimmy Graham was the only one of those 3 to get over like 550 receiving yards for you. You didn't really get much of anything out of Will, and you would have wanted him to be this guy who was like, well, he can block for us too, but he wasn't really on the field as often as he could have been. Like, it's really been a position where you have seen your NFC West foe, the San Francisco 49ers, knock it out of the park with Kittle. Meanwhile, you look around the league, Bump, you did this during the playoffs. You were looking at what some of the most successful playoff teams had in common, and you were like, some of these guys have really great tight ends. They're not the number 1 pass catcher on the team, but they really make a difference, especially when you're trying to be versatile, when you're looking for like, hey, we want to be a team that can run the rock. Also, we've got this guy who can block, who can make us really multidimensional as an offense. I wonder if Clint Kubiak would be intrigued by that. So, like, a high-end receiver is where you save money if you take someone like Matthew Golden, but I'm intrigued by, and I don't even know why at this point, the idea of a tight end. Like, I would hear people complaining and be like, yeah, for sure, they shouldn't have done that. And then privately, I'd be like, oh, I can't wait for training camp.
No, I'll tell you why you should be intrigued, especially with this one,
Yes.
because he can line up anywhere. I watched his film. He can line up traditional, attached to the line of scrimmage. He can get in that wing spot. He lined up in the slot. He went outside. It's going to be a bit different in the NFL. I don't see him going outside often. Not too many tight ends can do that. But if you can catch a team in man, start them tight, motion them outside, get them on a safety one-on-one, who knows? And he's good in the run game too. He's about 6'5", I believe, about 245. Yeah, 6'5", about 245. Yep, 6'5", 245, and he can move a bit. You know, he's not as elusive as a George Kittle, but he's not as slow as a Mark Andrews. He's somewhere in the middle where Kelsey lies. You know how Kelsey somehow breaks tackles, and it makes no sense to me because he looks slow.
It looks
as
like
heck.
he's running in slow motion.
Yeah.
You're like, did these other guys slow down? He runs the way that I run in dreams. You know what I mean? When you're trying to run fast and you can't.
Yeah, so that's I know I like that pick because in this Kubiak offense, the tight ends are crucial. The tight ends will, like I said, line up in multiple spots, motion to the backfield, become a fullback, start in the backfield, motion to the left side. They do a lot. And to play the most versatile position in football, I believe it is, you got to be versatile. That's exactly what he is.
I know. I don't mean to insult offensive linemen with this take. The right choice is to take an offensive lineman. The right choice is to take the very, very best offensive lineman there. I think so, because haven't we spent how much time did we spend talking about the offensive line and being like, okay, they've spent money on it in free agency. They've made some trades, like lower level trades, but Dwayne Brown obviously acquiring a tackle via big trade. They have not used first-round picks on interior linemen.
Yeah, but
they've not.
I wouldn't go interior lineman.
The Lions have.
That's your need. That's your need. Yeah, but was it Penei?
Penei Sewell, someone else too, an older one.
And they probably had like a top 10 pick as well because they were garbage.
Yes, and I know that you can look at like Creed Humphreys as I think a second rounder and be like, okay, well, look at they found him late. I totally get it, but I'm just saying like if they do that, it'll be like someone shows up with spaghetti and everyone likes spaghetti. But no one like loves spaghetti.
Yeah, but the reason why I wouldn't do that is because I think that you can find that position later. I think you can.
You definitely can.
And I think that there's more talent already here than what we believe. And Grubb's offense didn't highlight that. Grubb's offense put a lot of pressure on these dudes to be dang near perfect in pass pro and all that good stuff, and didn't really find their groove when it comes to running the football. Listen, I wouldn't be upset if they did that. If I'm looking at the board and I don't see some of the names that you and I have talked about. It's all reactive, man. You have to react to what's going on around you. I just hope they get the best. And if they think that is the best, right? The best player available is an interior offensive lineman. I would tip my cap and say, if you watch way more film than I have, I can respect it, but not agree with it at the same time.
Another way I tried to think about it is like, you know how people talk about the Jalen Carter or Devin Witherspoon comparison? And we're like, but Devin ended up being a 2-time Pro Bowler. Like Devin is maybe your best player on defense. Like it's not like you didn't get a great pick with Devin, but then people go, well, Jalen ended up being great too. So I'm thinking of it as if Loveland was drafted and ended up being, let's say he was a Pro Bowler. Let's say he doesn't get 1,000 yards, but he gets like 600 yards, like a great rookie season. And let's say that your offensive line still really struggles, and Gray Zabel ends up having a great rookie season too. Do you regret not taking Gray Zabel?
I mean, hindsight's 2020.
I know, but what I'm saying is
I regret a lot of stuff in 2025.
But what I'm saying is, like, what if taking your pass catcher there or your fun pick, like that I kind of want them to do, does cost you offensive line play?
It could. That's the gamble of the draft.
I mean, I'd rather have fun.
You just don't know, and it's all about how you look at what you already have. And me, I really believe, and this isn't just off of a hunch. This isn't off of feelings. This isn't forcing it because someone texted in, Bump, we did that the last 10 years. I forget all that. I'm living in the moment right now. And when I look at what Kubiak wants to do and the personnel that's already here, I think they're going to make significant steps. I don't think they're going to be the best offensive line in the game, but I think that the way he calls a game and the scheme is going to help these body types so that he can find something later. But again, I'm not mad if they were to go interior. I could see the reason for going interior lineman. It makes complete sense to me. But I think that there are some steps that Haynes could take, Olu could take. I'm still waiting. I think that I would feel a little better about this offensive line if they already got their veteran. You know, not a swing tackle.
But if they would have
whatnot.
had Fries.
Yeah, if they would have Fries, I would feel even better about this situation. They still have a lot of building to do, and I just want to learn. I want to learn about how they view this offensive line group with this new scheme in OC.